Airbnb is still lucrative. Don't listen to the hype. So there's this like misinformation going around circulating saying Airbnb is done. It's gone bust. And I could not disagree more. And I'm going to break that down for you. Guys, you're watching OVG. I'm your host, Kenim. Yes, it's been 10 months since I posted here last. But I'm here and I'm back. I'm posting on my other channels. Brand Video Pro, the Kenim O Show. I post there very regularly, so go check that out. But on here, this channel is about business, and I want to be here more often. And I saw this article, a few articles, and I just had to comment on this as a former Airbnb host. Yes, guys, I used to run AirBNB's myself back in 2016. I had about 3 of them. And in fact, if you guys want to hear that story, I want to get 50 likes in this video. Let me get 50 likes in this video. And I'll tell you about my Airbnb journey, how I failed, and the things that I would not do again. So many lessons there, but I used to set up Airbnbs for cheap. I'll give you guys everything that you want to know. Just give me 50 likes in this video. But let's get down to it. Is Airbnb still lucrative today? And yes, the media is talking about how Airbnb is going bust. I'm going to show you some articles that we're seeing, and they're just kind of claiming that Airbnb is done. This is from Yahoo, right? Too many rich people invested in Airbnbs. More than 1 million, I think it says 1 million there. I can't see. Okay. More than 1 million remain unoccupied. So what is going on? Why are so many Airbnbs unoccupied? Is this even true? Let's break it down for you. Okay, so first things first, is Airbnb done? Is it done? And I say absolutely not. I want you guys to look at something, these charts right here, right? The number of Airbnb users in the United States from 2016 to 2022. Now, this is when I was thriving on Airbnb. I'm going to talk about something. Look, they say 99% of success is failure. I have so many lessons from Airbnb. And the game is a little different now. There are a lot more policies that are preventing people from succeeding the way that, because when I was there, it was like the wild, wild west. It was virgin, and there are some things hacks that I could do, that I could pull off. You probably can't pull them off right now. Airbnb is a lot more strict as a website too. It changed. The website completely changed. But let's get back to this. So these are the amount of people, the amount of Airbnb users, 29 million people in 2016. Today, there are 45.6 million in 2022. So even though people are claiming that Airbnb did poorly, their Airbnbs are doing poorly this year, as opposed to even last year, but there are more people using Airbnb right now than ever before. So what is the issue? Okay, there might be a oversaturation problem, right? Airbnb has roughly 5.6 million active listings in 220 countries. Right. And 60% of them, of its users, are millennials. So yes, the demand is higher, but the competition is higher, right? Everyone you know has an Airbnb. Everyone you know has an Airbnb. And when we think about COVID, when you think about the whole COVID situation, Airbnb would have done well post-COVID, post-lockdowns, or even during that. But specifically when everyone got so much money was circulating, the PPP loans, people were spending money, people were traveling, people were traveling within America because they couldn't travel internationally, so they were staying in America all throughout the summer. So people saw a massive boost in Airbnb rentals in 2020, 2021. They saw that people were traveling domestically. People are traveling to Mexico. Mexico has been thriving. But we're talking about Airbnb in America. And that makes sense. There was so much money circulating. But now what we're hearing is this summer wasn't great for some people, for a lot of people. Some people are claiming since about August, things go down. Now, Airbnb seasons, at least in California, again, depends on your state. But when I was in California, in Los Angeles, Airbnb seasons, its peak seasons were about from March until September. That's when the peak seasons, you're getting a lot of rentals, like daily rentals, especially in the area, because I was in like some of the best prime locations. Again, guys, if you want me to give you the information about how to start an Airbnb, where to start it, especially and get more people even that are currently doing it to tell you more information, I want to see 50 likes on this video. But that period of March until September, like literally September 1st, that's peak season. So that's 6 months in the year where you have peak season. The rest of the year is slow. But when I say slow, you just kind of change up your strategy. You're not going to get bookings every single day, but you're still going to break even and be able to pay your rent. If you purchase a house, you definitely will be able to pay your mortgage. There are different strategies for Airbnb. Depending on your strategy, you might be a homeowner, you might be a renter. It's harder these days to be a renter, but we're going to keep going. So, yeah, the strategies are different now than, so right now people are seeing a dip in Airbnb especially because of the recession. There's less money circulating. But the big question is Airbnb still lucrative today? Is it still a big, important investment? Absolutely. I think the real issue is that people are not competitive. And I watched this happen with Uber. Guys, if you guys remember when Uber started, and it started getting popular around 2013, 2014. And back then we were hearing that Uber drivers were making like $5,000, $10,000 a month on Uber. Those are the early days. Then everybody heard about all this money and they ran to it. And now it got so bad. I think it got so bad by like 3 years later, you could get an Uber for $1 from Hollywood to West Hollywood, which is a 15-minute drive, which is insane. And I think now it's like evened out a little bit, leveled out a bit. But that's what happens when there's an oversaturation. Because when people make money, they can't stop talking and bragging about it. And they tell everybody about it. And so everybody wants to get in on this money, especially if it's as easy as setting up an Airbnb or becoming an Uber driver. Everybody wants to do it. And there's this oversaturation. And because of the nature of the internet and the lack of the barrier to entry, they want to stop people, more people just try it out. But here's the thing. These articles that we are seeing are the new form of a barrier to entry to fearmonger people out of setting up their own Airbnbs. I don't blame them. I would do it too if I was in the Airbnb game still. I would tell everybody, don't do Airbnb. You're not going to make money. Because that's the only way you keep the money to yourself, right? That's business. You have to create barriers to entry to prevent people from wanting to get in on the action. That's just kind of the way it is, right? Because if there's oversaturation, too much competition, the business is not going to do well. But I think what the real thing is when it comes to Airbnb is people need to start learning how to be competitive. Because when you look at this, the opportunity was so vast here, less competition. Look at the amount of people using Airbnb now. Look at the opportunity. I'm going to break down a few things. I bring Bitcoin into this because I think Bitcoin is the best example of this barrier to entry that is created, and this why you can't trust the media. Let's think about Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin today is at $17,000. $17,000. But if you guys remember, just because everybody's comparing it to its peak was at $64,000. And yes, that's a big dip. But if you came in here If you came in here, hasn't it increased? And when you look at consistently, this is when it peaked in 2017, guys, in December. Remember that? It's right back to then. But remember when it peaked here, I just guys, like, over time, when you look at Bitcoin, it's increased. It peaked here, and we thought this was ridiculous when it peaked here, and then it went all the way down again. But if you bought in here, you would have still enjoyed in these past 2 years. Point is, yes, this is now the new low, $17,000 of Bitcoin. But back in 2018, that was the peak. So what does this tell you? Don't trust the media. Just because there's a dip in the short term doesn't mean there's not growth in the long term. If you bought Bitcoin in 2017 for $1,000, you would have been, sure, it's best to pull out here because, hey, get your gains as much as possible. But even if you hold, and I think make your profit, I think you should mix it up. You don't have to hold all the time, because think about how much money you would have made here if you pulled out here and put that money into other stuff, right? But think if you had just kind of held on to your Bitcoin, think about this. 17,000 is the all-time low right now, but just 2-3 years ago, it was the all-time high. Things are always going up. I think, look at Ethereum as another, 2021 January, it started going up because Ethereum was always low. 2021 January, it started going up. Now today, yes, it went all the way up to 4,000. People made a lot of money. I made a lot of money from Ethereum. And then all of a sudden, it's at an all-time low right now. Not all-time low, but it's at a recent low in the past 2 years. But that recent low is the same that it was in January of 2021. So my point is, over time, these things are making way more money. But when people are looking at it from a myopic point of view, you're going to think, oh my God, there's so much money lost. But when you play the long game, there's so much money gained. And I say the same thing with Airbnb. If you're looking at Airbnb as a fast, get rich quick, fast cash type of situation, because you see all these influencers saying, I'm a multi-millionaire because I'm an Airbnb host. Everybody wants to get in and they think it's going to be easy. Yes, you're gonna be a loser, and you probably shouldn't do Airbnb. You should probably run away. It's not for you, because you're just going to saturate the market and you're going to do a half-ass job, and you just don't deserve to succeed in Airbnb. But if you become competitive, if you play the game right, if you figure out a strategy that works, Airbnb is an extremely lucrative business. And let me explain why. What is the alternative to short-term rental? Long-term rental. Are you going to make more money from short-term rental or long-term rental? The answer is you're going to make more money from short-term rental no matter what. So how can you look at Airbnb as a disadvantage? When you look at the money you're going to make all year round from one tenant, if you put it on Airbnb for that whole year round, you're going to make more money from Airbnb. The difference is, well, not necessarily. If you have a shithole of an apartment and you're bad at maintenance, you probably won't make less, right? If you don't want to deal with like the work, you don't want to do the work, hey, you're probably going to, better for you to get a long-term tenant and they could just like live there. You don't have to worry about the property. But if you're ready to do some work to actually be competitive, take care of your property, give them the best amenities, stop asking your tenants to mow your lawn, because I heard like some Airbnbs are asking their tenants to do ridiculous things that are just inconveniences. And I'm going to get into that. Maybe I'll do a video on that. But the reason why a lot of people don't want to do Airbnbs, somebody died in an Airbnb in Mexico because there was carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide in the air or something, and she died because she couldn't breathe. Like, people are just such lazy hosts, such abusive hosts. Oh, I have so many videos about Airbnb. Some of my worst stories that happened to me with Airbnb as as a host myself. So I can imagine people are just shitty in the world, right? So people are going to do crazy things. But if you look at it that way, if you're looking at Airbnb to get rich quick, pick another industry. If you're looking at this as a real estate investment, if you're looking at this like, look, I bought this house because I think buying is the best in this day and age. Sure, you can rent it. Sure, you can do that if you meet all their policies. I wouldn't do the fake, renting it when it's illegal, when it's not allowed in the lease. But if you have rented this property, if you have bought this property and you're ready to run a real business the slow way, right? Slow and steady wins the race. Airbnb is lucrative. So you can't be thinking short term like, oh, I didn't book it this day, I didn't book it that day. No, you gotta think of long term. Think of it long term. And you have to create a property, an experience that people want to return to your property. And when you provide that, when you look at hotels, because you're literally competing with a hotel. And I think even me, right now, I would rather go to a hotel than go to an Airbnb. Personally, because the last time I went to an Airbnb, it was disgusting. The toilet wasn't working. It didn't look anything like the pictures. It was dirty. I ain't doing no Airbnbs no more. I used to be an Airbnb host, but my place was spotless. But I have to say all this to say, you gotta like honestly play the game right. Approach this like a hotel business. Focus on customer service, customer care, amenities. Be customer centric, like Jeff Bezos says. Don't abuse your customers. Don't expect them to do chores around the house. Once you respect your tenants and you are customer centric and you have that approach and you're competitive, these are the ingredients. If you have that approach, your Airbnb will succeed. And the problem is we have too many get rich quick people that want to make fast cash, that don't want to do the real work. And that's why your Airbnb is sitting empty. And I have stories to tell you because I was one of those Airbnb hosts that was trying to make fast cash. I have stories to tell you. So if you want to hear my story about my Airbnb, go ahead. Give me 50 likes on this video. Like, follow, subscribe, all the above. You're watching OVG Business, and I'm back with more content. As hey guys, I want to make more content, at least twice a week or more. But anytime there's like something business related that I can put my 2 cents about, I'll do that. I also want to make some more interesting content for you guys, so stay tuned to see what I do create on this channel. Other than that, go check me out on my other channels where I talk about different things. Brand Video Pro, where I talk about the business and craft of entertainment, the entertainment industry. Or go check me out on the Kenim O show when I talk about social issues, romance, relationships, and all those things. Check me out, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.